the homeless dog that rose to become the most decorated military animal in U.S. history. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. The United States Army required men for the front lines as World War I ignited a global war fever. But many of the young men recruited into the military had never seen a war before. However, for one American trooper, one with 4 legs, that was not the case. When the stray dog happened to stumble across the Army training grounds, it couldn't resist seeing the troops in action. The boys in training didn't know their lives would rely on the little dog, whose name would go down in history. Even if at first they viewed him as little more than a mascot, the U.S. Army did not want to send its soldiers into war unprepared before plunging blindly into World War I. To prepare the youth for battle, administrators organized 3-month basic training camps across the country. Soldiers made use of every available area to march, exercise, assemble in groups, and study combat tactics during the day. It was an exhausting endeavor. The 102nd Infantry earned admirers as its new recruits started their basic training in Yale University's squares. From the sidelines, he watched their routine and yearned to be a part of it all. It was a homeless and starving stray dog that was running about campus. The college students failed to notice the pit bull mix, who was estimated to be a little under a year old. Still, the 102nd Infantry wasn't blind to him. The men used the stray as a diversion from their dismal destiny by starting to play with him. They gave the small, stocky mongrel a name, Stubby, because he showed up every day. Particularly, one guy took a special liking to Stubby. Private John Robert Conroy, a 25-year-old orphan who made friends with the stray dog. The only issue was that troops were not allowed to own pets. Observing how Stubby raised spirits, the leading officers decided to keep him on as a mascot. The troops gave Stubby scraps to eat, and when he was thirsty, they even let him use the restrooms. Stubby yearned for constant companionship. Stubby marched in formation with the troops, jogging beside them. What's even more amazing is that Stubby mastered responding to exercises and bugle calls. Regretfully, the moment arrived when instruction was over. The hour to wage battle has come. Conroy found it unbearable to consider leaving Stubby behind. Without his closest buddy, he could not go to war, so he made plans to defy Army instructions and sneak Stubby onto the USS Minnesota and over the Atlantic. The privates all promised not to tell the officers anything about Stubby. Under military blankets, under coal bins, or even beneath Conroy's coat, Stubby would hide. Since Stubby was one of the machinists on board, they even etched dog tags for him. Conroy could not, however, maintain the secret for long, and the ship was getting closer to France. Conroy had Stubby covertly transferred from the USS Minnesota to his designated post. Conroy's commanding officer found out about the small puppy eventually, but he was able to hide him for a short period. He was unable to part from the dog, even though it posed a significant risk. He was breaking Army laws, and there was a chance Stubby might be misled. Conroy was in deep danger, but he had a thought. In a desperate attempt, he demonstrated to his superiors the unique qualities of the dog. "Present arms," murmured Conroy, and Stubby raised his paw in a salute. The officers allowed Stubby to stay because they found him to be entertaining. But Conroy had to make sure Stubby was always with him, which meant taking him into the heart of the battle. Trench warfare had been horrific and deadly for years, and it had destroyed France. They were dropping veterans like flies. How would the canine make it through? The troops fought in the unforgiving trench environment for 8 exhausting months. Fortunately for them, Stubby was fine with it. In actuality, the dog drove the disease-carrying and ration-eating rodents away. There was one day in February 1918 when the violence was under control. The Germans had been bombarding the Americans for a month straight, but Stubby was not scared. He sprung into action with his pals in the military. Stubby had the ability to hear approaching artillery before human hearing could. He yelled to the men to duck and cover. When it came time to go into enemy territory, Stubby leaped the barricade to discover wounded men who could distinguish between German and American voices. The techniques of battle got increasingly graphic as the combat went on. The trenches started to fill with deadly mustard gas, and gas masks were in limited supply. That's when the harsh chemicals started to harm Stubby's lungs. Stubby was taken to a field hospital by helicopter. Despite his severe injuries, the physicians gave his health their utmost attention, fighting hard and determined to go back to his comrades with Stubby. Fortunately, he recovered completely. Conroy fashioned the small dog a gas mask out of his own concern for his safety. It took Stubby only one try to get the lesson he needed to learn. Now, Stubby could smell the impending gas assault before it ever happened. Stubby consistently shown that he was a devoted member of their team. He received medals from the soldiers for his valor, and the women of the French village that had been freed sewed him a leather coat to keep him warm. Because of his bravery, Stubby became the first dog to be recruited into the military, and he did it as a sergeant, no less. One day, a German spy was following the soldiers without being seen. Stubby struck without holding back, biting into the German's uniform. He refused to release him until the spy was apprehended. Sergeant Stubby accumulated more medals than he could count and was the most respected member of his battalion at the conclusion of the war. He had been awarded several accolades, including a Purple Heart, and had lived through a total of 17 wars. Sergeant Stubby was adopted as the mascot and war bond sales spokesperson for the U.S. Army Yankee Division. Additionally, 3 U.S. presidents, Woodrow Wilson, Calvin Coolidge, and Warren G. Harding, praised and honored him. Private Robert Conroy eventually enrolled at Georgetown University to study law, leading a laid-back lifestyle with Sergeant Stubby. Sergeant Stubby was there to encourage the players when Conroy joined the football team and even took the field as the official football mascot during halftime. Stubby endured for a long time as a representation of liberty, optimism, and nationalism. Everyone he encountered praised him, and those who had the privilege of fighting with him expressed their gratitude. The epitome of an authentic American hero was Sergeant Stubby. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.